The English Electric Canberra was not the world's first jet bomber. However, it was arguably the best of the early jets. Despite the type's conventional appearance, it combined breathtaking performance. Few fighters of the day could reach its lofty ceiling or even catch it. It also possessed superb handling characteristics as well as great reliability. The Canberra was designed by Teddy Petter, who had previously designed the Westland Lysander and Whirlwind. Petter had also had a hand in the design of the English Electric Lightning and the Folland Gnat. The Canberra was derived from studies for a jet-powered ground attack aircraft to succeed aircraft like the Hawker Typhoon. The design was actually submitted to fulfill an RAF requirement for a new high-speed, high-altitude bomber to replace the de Havilland Mosquito. Initially conceived as a single-engined aircraft, the English Electric A1 evolved, first with two engines buried in the wing roots, and then with wing-mounted nacelles. It was believed that this would allow easy substitution of alternative power plants in case Rolls-Royce's new A1 engines failed to live up to expectations. The Canberra was intended to bomb entirely by radar. The necessary black boxes, however, failed to materialize. Although the four prototypes had solid noses, the production B Mark II reverted to a visual bomb aiming position in the transparent nose cone. The prototype made its maiden flight on the 13th of May 1949, and the type entered service with 101 Squadron of the RAF at Binsbrook in eastern England in May 1951. The Canberra replaced Lancasters, Lincolns, and Mosquitoes with RAF Bomber Command, equipping a peak total of 23 home-based squadrons. The last Canberras were withdrawn in September 1961, having played a crucial role in maintaining the deterrent and deploying for combat operations in Kenya, Malaysia, and the Suez operation. The original B Mark II was augmented from 1954 by the B Mark VI, which possessed a more powerful engine and increased fuel capacity. The Canberra's superb high-altitude performance kept it viable for decades, with its aerobatic capabilities and agility making it a joy to fly. It was a difficult target for fighters even at lower altitudes. The type possessed a 10-year frontline career which was respectable by the standards of the day. Despite this, the Canberra's operational lifetime was far from over. As the new V-bombers were introduced, surplus Canberras were freed up for service overseas. These aircraft served with RAF Germany, where a nuclear strike wing was formed in 1954. They also saw service in the Middle East and Far East. For overseas service, the B Mark VI formed the basis of the B Mark XV and B Mark XVI. These types had new avionics and weapons, including rocket pods and Nord AS-30 ASMs. These versions remained in frontline RAF service until 1970. For service in RAF Germany, English Electric developed a dedicated interdictor strike version. This had a new fight-type offset cockpit for the pilot. There was also provision for a gun pack containing 4 20mm cannon and 525 rounds per gun, enough for 50 seconds worth of firing. This was located in the rear part of the bomb bay. This new variant, dubbed the B1 Mark VIII, equipped 3 squadrons, with another unit receiving B Mark VIs converted to a similar armament configuration. These Canberra interdictors served from January 1956 until June 1972, when the RAF finally retired its Canberras from the bomber rule. Their cannon armament was little used except on annual armament practice camps. The aircraft were primarily assigned to a nuclear strike role, delivering US nuclear weapons in bomb tossing and lay-down profiles. Canberras were also adapted for a host of second-line roles. Dedicated reconnaissance variants would serve on the front line until 1982 and, thereafter, gradually adopted a primary survey role. In second line early warning and target facilities rules, RAF Canberra's played an important role in training a pool of pilots. These men had narrowly failed to make the grade for frontline fast jets when they went through training for the role in the Gnat and Hawk. After a tour on the Canberra, many went on to complete fast jet training, becoming pilots of the Harrier, Jaguar, Lightning and Tornado. The Canberra enjoyed considerable export success. Newly built and refurbished bomber versions were delivered to Argentina, Australia, Ecuador, Ethiopia, New Zealand, Peru, Rhodesia, South Africa, India and Venezuela. Other versions went to Chile, France, Germany and Sweden. With these overseas customers, the Canberra bomber remained operational for many years. The aircraft fought with distinction in Southern Africa, Latin America, including the Falklands War in 1982, and in Vietnam. Licensed built in Australia, the Canberra also enjoyed the unusual distinction of being operated by the US Air Force and built under license, in modified form, as the Martin B-57. The B-57 was used in the tactical light bomber role in Europe during the 1950s and 1960s. It then saw intensive service in Vietnam in the interdictor role with the US Air Force and Vietnamese Air Force. The US B-57 served on into the 1980s in second line and support roles. B-57s were also exported to Pakistan, which ironically used them operationally against India, an operator of the British-built Canberra. NASA retained two long-winged RB-57Fs for upper atmosphere research and trial duties. Over 50 years after the prototype aircraft made its maiden flight, Canberras could still be found in service. Indeed, a photoreconnaissance variant of the Canberra remained in service with No. 39 Squadron of the RAF until July 2006, where it was used for strategic reconnaissance and photographic mapping, seeing service in the 2003 invasion of Iraq and up to June 2006 in Afghanistan. During a ceremony to mark the standing down of 39 Squadron at RAF Marham on the 28th of July 2006, a flypast by a Canberra PR-9 on its last ever sortie was conducted. Canberra continued to serve in the Indian Air Force until 2007. The Canberra fleet of the Indian Air Force was grounded following a crash in December 2005. Subsequently, the decision was taken to retire the fleet, with the Canberra finally being retired by the Indian Air Force on the 11th of May 2007. Peru finally retired its Canberras in June 2005, with the surviving airframes being put in reserve until 2008. In operations over Afghanistan, the Canberras proved to be the most useful reconnaissance aircraft available to Allied force commanders. In order to understand the viability and longevity of the Canberra, it should be put into perspective. To rival the achievements of the Canberra, the de Havilland Mosquito, which made its maiden flight on the 25th of November 1940 and was introduced on the 15th of November 1941 before being retired in 1963, would have had to have remained in frontline service as a bomber until 1980. The Mosquito would also have had to have remained in use in a reconnaissance role until 1994. Today, a number of examples of the Canberra exist. Approximately 10 remain airworthy and are in private hands and can be seen occasionally at air displays. Many thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more updates, like and share. You can also help to support the channel at Patreon. Details are in the description box below. If you enjoyed this content, why not also check out my Substack page for more unique historical insights and articles. A link to the page is in the description box below.